Thank you, everybody, for showing up to this December 5th, Thursday LegalShield and Fieldnotes webinar that we do. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. And so I'll get right into it. What I wanted to talk to today is something, let me go ahead and share my screen, that will help you organize and basically pipeline your views, or use them as pipelines, use them as dense categories in which you can have folders. So like if you wanted to have like a prospecting folder and then all your views that have to do with prospecting, we are now going to be able to do so because, let's see where, there we go. And this is that feature. Now, there they are. So everything was put in. So if you do have yours, you're going to see them in your default folder. So these are all of my views that I currently had. So this is going to most likely take some building out, creating some folders. I guess for the main part, everybody just had one folder. So now you can actually think about creating new folders, giving it a name such as prospecting. Let's give it the capital P. Let's save that folder. Let's say you have, now what I could see with this one is you could do the different stages that we've kind of discussed when it comes to prospecting, decision makers, all of that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so
Jeremy, you want to make me co-host and I can do that for you?
I want to say that everybody is a co-host. Make co-host. Nope. There you are.
Okay. I'll keep an eye out for folks popping.
Indeed. So, what we were just discussing for Kathy and Deborah Schaefer is this new little feature that I'd requested from the developers, and it looks like they actually was able to get on it relatively quickly. I think I told a couple of people about this. Rick is going to be somebody in which is going to really like this feature because he uses lead magnets. Um, and he could have all of his lead magnets in one folder, lead mags. And now, oh, did I get two?
Well, you're talented.
Yeah, I'll have to, I'll have to tell them about that. And so now you can have multiple folders and you can have, let's say I want my B partner, let's put them into prospects since I really don't have, there they are. Gotta love it. So once you've created your folders, right, to break all of these up, you can then begin to, and since this is new to everybody, you might leave the default folder so that everybody is in there. Okay, this is your friend. Well, this is probably a this is, so this is the new feature, right, to the CRM in regards to Michelle's question. So it's probably maybe over your head, but when having views, right, basically from all of the different types of categories that you set up a contact with, and let's say you add a bunch of information, let's say you add spheres, let's say that you have these categories selected like the stage cycle. So let's say this is a serviced group and let's say they are active. So I think I have active group. And so if I save this and I create a view that basically looks at all my active groups, you'll have them here in all of these different, whatchamacallit, views. These used to be called reports, but since we have reports over here, they didn't want to confuse. So we have changed the name to views. So based off of the views, you can now basically create subfolder, or these are main folders, and then you can put these reports into these folders so that you have more of a grouping, right? And we can definitely take a look and do a private session if you want in regards to this. That's no problem.
Yeah, I think
Before the
I
end
think
of the before the end of
I think
the
I think
meeting,
it'd be worthwhile if you set up a
yeah,
private session with Bill and
I'll give her
Michelle.
my
They can.
I'll give her my
Mhm.
link so that they can set up an appointment with me.
Yeah.
But for the ones that have views and have multiple views, if you wanted to organize them in their own folder, you can. Um, and so this is the new feature, and it looks like you can drag and drop once you've created all your folders. It actually went to BNI Friends, but let's go back. I guess it's a little too sensitive. Like all groups, maybe all groups, I'll do servicing folder. And now I can put anything related to groups. Please move yes. Anything related to, my friends. And essentially by just dragging and dropping, now you can have all of this organized instead of having just one long sea of views. Uh,
Jeremy,
yes.
question. Is there a way that we can put those folders in spheres so they automatically drop in there when you put them in that specific sphere?
So, okay, if you have a view, the view basically pays attention to the categories, right?
Okay.
So anybody that you do disposition appropriately will fall into the view. And then since you already put the view in the folder, that will basically live in that folder. And so none of, yeah, so none of the, so we still kept all the main, functions so that when you disposition people correctly, they fall into that category, right? So let me see servicing. And then I think all group, let me see if anybody, okay, so basically this view is looking at, I'm pretty sure, whether the group number is empty or not. So if it's not empty, then this will this will show the group in this folder. And then now that this folder or now that this view is in the servicing folder, if I add anybody new and I put a group number, they will then show. So does that answer your question?
I think so.
Yeah.
Jeremy,
So
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Roger that.
The one issue that came up this morning with this is Patty was working on her tablet
Uh-huh.
and we couldn't find any way to get to this. When you went into contacts, it was a totally different look on the tablet, and I couldn't find any way to get to this section that you're talking. It just had
Where
like,
what was the is it an applet? So tablet, is that an iPad, a
yeah,
Samsung?
yeah, an
And
iPad.
then were you
Yep,
using the app?
yep.
So
Anyway,
I
don't take time with this, but
no, but I remember the developer saying something about the app because if they do something here, they have to also
right,
push it to the app. And this was part of a release that had a bunch of other working parts. I'm trying to think of, there's like these new features for the other
right.
verticals. And so they managed to kind of tuck mine in. I know it would take more work on their end to push that over to the app store per se. And
Okay,
if I remember hearing them correctly, they weren't going to focus on that just because it would cause, I guess it would delay this. Um, so if she's on the iPad, I would ask her to try to download Chrome, log in through Chrome, and I'm pretty sure if she does that, she will see it,
okay.
but not through the iPad app, unfortunately. And then I can get more clarification on that from them because I'm pretty sure that's what happened, especially if you saw this and saw that. I don't have an iPad or an iPhone with the app. I just have Android. And so,
Well, we all have crosses to bear.
yes, but I did hear them say something like that. So now that you mention that, I don't think this is pushed to the app at this moment.
Okay,
But good to know and something I can later on request them to do. But when it comes to creating pipelines, funneling, I think this is going to be huge. There's a lot of other people that have websites, not necessarily LegalShield, although Rick Allen does. And if Rick had, because he uses lead magnets, right? So he's got pages on his website for, I think it's for the Make a Will Month PDF that Legal Shield has, and I think there's a couple of other ones that he uses so that if people go to his website, they can add their information, they can hit submit, they will get access to the document, and then those people are already into his CRM. So if you're using things like that, then what's going to happen is if you set up the lead magnet appropriately with these categories, right, it will simply fall into these buckets that you've created, all of these views under these different folders. And then at least that way you can be a little bit more organized instead of having a huge long list of things that you kind of have to go through. And so that I know for the people in real estate, that's going to be good because they have a lot of different pages, a lot of contact me. And this is where they could actually, if it was a contact me on the buyers, like strictly just the buyers, and then you had categories here, like let's say a referral source in a group buyers, then it would show up those people that would sign in and give their information. You're going to know that they came from the buyers page. So now I think that kind of information is helpful, right? To know exactly where they came from. And so yeah, so that's going to help with this. I'm trying to think if you through Facebook, I think if it shows up as a referral source, which I think it does, you could also create a view Facebook, have it in a specific folder, and then everything that's going to come in is essentially going to come to the view, and then you'll just have it organized a little bit better within your folders, and hopefully this and then it looks like this is drag and drop. So anytime you have or like once you fill out all your folders and you create them, you'll just be able to drag them, drop them in, just confirm them. And then any ones that I guess don't have a folder will sit in the default. Looks like you can rename these folders as well. So if you wanted to do that, you can. And yeah, I'm actually kind of curious to set this all up. If anybody has any ideas or any any help with this, oh, it looks like you can actually pin this. The pin does. I guess it just pins it, but not sure. Huh. I'll definitely have to play around with this, but it looks like you can edit the names to this. You can go straight to the contact or like the view that you have in question. And so I totally like this.
It pins it at the top where it used to be before.
Say that again. It still gives a name. What was that, Chip?
It pins it at the top where it used to be before. Only
Oh,
three
really?
are allowed.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Let's try that. Ah, okay. Well, okay. I mean, if you had the reason for pinning it and having it, maybe I would see
Well,
that.
if it's a report you use every day or very regularly, that means you could have it just get to it so much quicker than having to even go through this.
Yeah, like the all contacts one. So this is the all contacts so that it shows you your custom columns, your custom kind of setup per se, right?
Right.
I guess I could see that one being pinned because that's where you could add all of the different types of, okay, so I want to see group number, I want to see email sent, see maybe status, maybe any action plans I want to have visible, sales cycle status. Let's drop spheres in there. This second status. If you wanted to see the company name, and then I think we can work with that. And now you've got all of your, let's say, custom views set up. Now you can save this. And now you'll have all of your views custom opposed to this one. This one will just be everybody and it won't have, it'll kind of have like a default, columns selected. Yep, not much. But with this one, then this one will have all of your custom. So if you like to see it a specific way, this is the way to go now. I like that. And so I guess, yeah, have 3 pinned to the top seems like good enough, but breaking this down into all of your processes so that all of your views are organized, I think should help you guys. I don't know if anybody else can see any other way to use this, but for people with all kinds of views, this should help them organize it a little bit better. Any questions in regards to this?
Well, the only comment I'd make, Jeremy, is for people like me that are using this for my church groups, my other organization groups, my LegalShield, all that stuff, it's going to make it much easier and quicker to find whatever view I want to be able to look at, as opposed to having to go through the whole list to get down to the
Yeah, like
views.
if you're just like if you have like a personal folder and that's where you have all of your, let's say, personal groups that have nothing to do with Legal Shield or anything that you're currently working on, then you can just simply go to that folder, have all of those views at your access, and then, and like you say, don't get confused, don't have to go through a sea of options to get to the what you're looking at. And then you could have your work related folder, right? Or prospecting, servicing, you know what I mean? And when you go to servicing, that's where you've got your all groups, you've got all your members. That's I know Deborah has views for almost all the groups, right? So she could have maybe like a group folder where it has just all of the groups. She could go there and see all of her groups. And so it would be something to think about, kind of see how many main folders you can create to kind of create some organization with it. But I mean, once you go through that, you should be able to create more and more and more and have more views and just keep it more organized and easier to get to. Now, that feature was rolled out, and I'm trying to get something similar to this, but with the spheres. So I'm curious to see how these guys are going to do that, because if we had that same type of feature with the spheres, that means if you had prospecting spheres, if you had spheres for group, for members, then I think it's going to help you guys to disposition correctly and stay on top of, and then not create additional spheres just because maybe you're looking like this. You don't see it here. Oh, okay, I don't see it. Let me just go to manage items, but you forget that you've already created that sphere below and you've been using it, and now you're about to associate a total different sphere, you know, to those groups, and then now you'll have redundancy when you try to run your report. If you run one or not the other or not both, then it's obviously going to give you numbers, and then most likely cause for me to get a support call to understand why some people show up, why some people don't. And usually it's that case. Sometimes people will set up like an associate sphere, yet they'll go to referral status, or sorry, referral source, and they'll see that they have that same category here, and they've been tracking it through here, yet for whatever reason they thought, oh, I don't have it. Let's just go ahead and create a sphere for it. So by having this broken down into maybe folders as well, that means you guys can stay a little bit more organized, like having plans offered and having all the spheres that are related to plans offered can be a plans offered folder, and then chosen, and then you can have the ones for chosen. So now you would be able to really kind of break it down in a way in which you know what is either being offered. So that's like for prospecting, and then chosen, that's for people that have already, have the product, and that might help you guys just see it a little bit more clearly, not get confused, not have to create additional spheres, in which adds to the confusion. So that's next to come. And that kind of came from this, because once you start to, I mean, I've seen people with literally well over 50 in spheres and in plans offered chosen. So just scrolling through this is like a lot of spheres. So hopefully that is rolled out soon, and
So
will
going back to what you were showing us this morning, can you again just go through getting into it? Because I'm trying to get into it on mine and I'm not seeing how I organize those folders. So go
so
all the way out
okay.
completely and go in from scratch.
So when you do land, you land into the desktop. These are the dashboard. And then you can click all contacts, either click the icon or physically click all contacts. If you go to one of the folders, then it'll obviously take you to the view. Then do you see all contacts to where this drops this little menu down?
Okay, so you've got to go, you can't go just from the left-hand edge. You've got to come down from the top.
If you do, it takes you to the folders. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, right now, when I go in, I get all contacts, all leads, my leads, and default.
But if
And
you
then when I
hover,
get to default, it does what it's doing there. I've got no
right,
way to edit them.
right, and you won't be able to do that from here. This will just show your folders, and so if you hover
Okay,
over the folder, it
right,
looks like it will show it. So lead
right.
magnet, I don't think there's anything. Okay, so yeah, you want to be careful, because if you hit that one and it has a bunch, it kind of just jumps to that one. But it looks like that's how they've so maybe I can ask how they can tweak it to be just a little bit more. But to get to the contact views is by clicking all contacts and having the button up here. And then
Okay,
this is where you can create your folders.
yep, yep. Cool, thank you.
Self-explanatory on that one. I would say if you're not too clear on how to, what's best for you, definitely, loop me in and let's
Yep,
take a session and see what's the best method of breaking these up into folders so that you guys can have more views. Well, just a little bit more organized. And then for the people that do lead magnets and have different things that are coming in, or they've got processes to their business, I don't know, Chip, how do you think you might be able to benefit from this? Because you've got a lot of you've got a lot of views that you use, and the way that you use them, I'm pretty sure that you could group them into maybe the stages or some of the processes, which would make it, instead of just having them all in just one long folder, I think breaking these down into these little folders would be definitely helpful for you since you do a lot of prospecting, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you can put them in the smaller groups. It'll work better. I just saw that this morning, tried to figure it all out before the call.
Nice.
I think it'll work. I think it'll work good.
Beautiful. If you find yourself with any issues, please definitely tell me. You're probably going to find them before me. But yeah, I don't know if anybody else has any questions in regards to this. I don't think it's too complicated in the concept behind it. This is kind of, I like the way that this does that. The little, where did I put my all contacts? Is that servicing? All groups? Oh no, I think that's here. There it is. Yeah. And so you say only 3 fit?
Yeah, and it only left you room about for three anyway. So the first three were always at the top, and
That's
then
right.
there was a drop down menu to the right of the third one, which opened them all up.
Yep.
So it's very similar to that. It's not a drop down at the right of the third one, but you can go back to that contact default or wherever it is, and you can get them all there.
Looks like they have put it in for only 3.
Well, that's all that really fit up there at the top anyway, was three. If you abbreviate or if they were long ones, you didn't see the whole title of them anyway. But the three that you used the most were I always put up there. And then if I needed to open the other ones, there was a drop down to the right of the third one, and it just opened them up. You can essentially do the same thing by going to wherever the drop down is to access all of your viewed or all of your contact views.
Yeah. No. And then it looks like you can search. So, let's see if that shows up. Let's see. Oh, okay. So if you search it and you hit the little magnifying glass, it'll pull up the folder that it's in. And then since that has sphere, it'll only offer you that one. So that's not bad.
Yeah, it takes some
Interesting.
getting used to. I think it'll work well.
Yes. I mean, for some people, like, so some people with like 50 accounts and they have views for each and every one of those companies. This was a drop down menu with just companies was 50 plus. And then just imagine having other categories in there and other views. That would be crazy. Like Bill's got hundreds of companies. So I could see how he could put either main folders of main groups because I think he has related ones that he might want to have that grouped into one just big folder, and then that way he can, since they're related, right? I would see that being an option. And when people just have so much data, you got to find some way to organize it instead of just having to go through the sea of things or using the special characters. We used to have to do, so like if you do a special character, any of these will cause it to go to the top. So now you don't really have to do that. Now you can just essentially set up your own folder for it. And so that I like. And then for moving these ones, you just basically drag and drop them. So I would say create all your folders and then now you can just drop them. And then there she is. Oh, gotta love it. Well, I'm happy they were able to turn this around relatively quick. Oh, I just wanted to say that for everybody, I put my book me link in the chat. So if you guys wanted to book some time, you have that link. And in all my emails, in my signature, you have book time with me. That takes you to the same page and you can set up some time and always discuss, the program and really anything, So if you hear something in one of the videos, just make a note of it and then let me know how I can help you, I guess, get that done. But yeah, any other thing that you guys have been looking at? I know we're getting towards the end of the year, so I know a lot of people are busy with just end of the year stuff and then,
Quick question, Jeremy. Did you and Alicia
Mhm.
have a chance to download the
Yes.
reports and upload?
We discussed all of that, and so I made sure that she understood when it comes to downloading reports from you guys, and she was a little bit confused when you said to her download all the columns. So she goes, "But of course, I'm downloading all the columns from Shield at work," and I was like, "Oh, nope, nope, nope. We're talking about Fieldnotes because if you, and I'll say this for everybody because this is also a good lesson to learn when when you're doing updates and you're doing and you're adding in new information, you can do it a couple of ways, right? So I'm just going to select a couple of accounts just so that I have something to play with. And this is the download. And you see this button here. It says all columns. So how can you shoot yourself in the foot is by not downloading all of this with all columns and just having the visible columns. And so what the visible columns is just these ones. So essentially first name, last name, email, phone number, referral source, last modified and added is what will be downloaded. And if what you're trying to do is to make update information, things like that, and let's say you only wanted to do it with these 3 contacts, now you're going to have all of the categories, whether if it has information or not, you're going to have it in your Excel file. So let me show you this file. And so the thing here is that if you were to download it with just the columns that you saw visible, and then let's say you made edits to the phone number, let's say you're spelling the person's name correctly, they have a new email, and then you save this document, and then you try to push this back up because it has all of the ID numbers. So what it will do is just edit the columns that you see here, and it will essentially wipe out all of the details that you already had saved, like all this information, because you just sent the file over with the first name, the email, the phone number. That's all that it's going to basically apply. And then you'll come down to here and you'll see this all blanked out. And that means you lost your sales cycle status. That means you lost your status, any spheres added. Now, if you were to do that, you can go to history and you can then take a look and see, oh, this is what I did. And then you could make changes. But I had a real estate agent do that. She didn't pay attention to that. She downloaded, I think it was the basics, just like this, made changes, and then pushed it up. But she did it on a file of like 200 contacts. And that caused me, I had to go into each one of those and then figure out which ones she lost and then individually make those adjustments. And so that is something that I would assume for like
That's a train wreck that we don't want to have.
that's an immediate phone call to Jeremy. Fix it. So
Yeah, but look at the job security for you.
no.
That's not the job we want him doing.
No, and so what I
You
told
moved from my good list to my naughty list.
immediately in a matter of seconds. By the time you upload that data, you're already going, what? And then, yeah. So the key here is this ID, right? If you have a prior contact in the system and you download the data, it will come with an ID. So when I was talking to Alicia, right, she could essentially download the group either through the company name, through the group number, just have everybody in the file. And she could make updates within the Excel. And if she had any new members that she needed to add, essentially she would just put them here with no ID number because they're new. And then so what she would do in one file is update the current ones and then also add any new. You just put them right at the bottom of the list and the system will update these ones. So any changes, it uses this ID number to know that that is the contact. And since it will have all of the information saved. So if you don't touch it, then, no harm, no foul. If you do touch it, well, then it's going to change it. So you do want to be careful, right? If you're not too familiar with manipulating things in Excel, I would definitely either set up some time with me and I'll show you what I do so that I don't make those problems. Essentially, it's add the filters on all of them. That way, all the fields get adjusted, not just on a couple columns, because then that will just basically adjust those columns if you were to alphabetize and do things like that. And so, yep, we had a good discussion. We're still going to meet meet Friday, right?
Yeah.
So that's still on the books. But I did have a moment and we did clarify some things that she necessarily wasn't too. And then I showed her, basically how to pull this file for the group. So essentially either filtering by the group number or by the company name, right? Using either the fields that you have saved, such as spheres and things like that, So basically you filter what you want and then you download and just remember all, and if you want to do this, this is fine because this will just download the view that you're looking at. And then you'll have a file that's strictly just for that company. And then, you know, I think she goes, let's use a small group. And I was like, yeah, try that one. And it had like 600 members or something like that. And I was like, yeah, but not all of the accounts have 600. I think that's just how big the company is. And we downloaded one with like 400 contacts. So, you know, that's Cassie's problem, right? When you get into just so much contact, then staying up and manipulating all of those contacts tends to be a little bit more of a challenge. But if you're familiar with Excel and you know all of those little tricks to be able to like find information, you know, find an email, and then simply then now that you see the line, you don't have to go fishing for it. So I use find a lot. I also put them in alphabetical order, and then I'll also alphabetize the shield at work. And then you can kind of put them side by side. And because they're in alphabetical order, it's kind of real easy to see which one's not there, right? And so, yeah, it's a trick, but I don't think there's really any other. I did find some AI kind of thing where you can kind of upload it, you can give it Excels and it'll actually like analyze data and do stuff. I've been trying to play around with it to see if it would actually like, if I could, you know, get it to like mass edit things and to do a little bit more heavy lifting with the Excel, but that has been just me playing around yet. And so I haven't had any kind of real luck or anything to really to report on. But it would be good if I could just send over 2 files to AI and say, hey, figure it out, give it a prompt, and then, you know, go pour me a cup of coffee, come back and know that all my data is done correctly.
Well, I like that prompt, figure it out.
Yeah. I wish we could get to that point, but I know we're not there. But
Yeah.
essentially, you know, give it some nice command, you know, take these fields, search out, you know, change or update, you know, this folder to that column. I mean, yeah, I would have to definitely continue to play with it. But I you know, I think we're getting close to where we're gonna have robots doing this stuff for you, you know what I mean? So get prepared. Don't let AI scare you. I in
Well,
fact
I would
have
be fine
a
with
lot of
AI
fun.
doing some of the data manipulation.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, like that's exactly what I would sign it up for. Everything else, you know, I'll manage, but to manipulate the data, and it really just gets to like where, you know, you guys, the ones that have a lot of contact, that's where it begins to become a challenge. So any any tool that you can use to help you organize it is definitely gonna make your experience that much better.
Yep.
But yeah. And so any issues you guys have been running into, you know, fourth quarter, what are you guys doing right now that just kind of curious to see what, you know, what you guys do in your seasons and how we can obviously help you guys in getting the job done. Alrighty. Well, that's
I think we're just losing our minds right now. So check back with us in January, Jeremy.
Sure. No. And you know, that's how I usually find these little things is based on either support questions or problems that I see more than one person kind of go through, and anything that we can do to help push the needle with the CRM. I recently had to use HubSpot. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Like I ran from that. And I was just trying to, and I figured, you know, all the CRMs are the same, but it was kind of like a Zoho situation where it's just like you can do so much. And I understand you can do so much, but you have to configure so much things, which I thought we had a lot involved, you know, coming up with your, you know, your sales flow and your categories and all of that kind of logic, and then setting up triggers. Like for us, it's just super simple. But with HubSpot, it was like you had to create a list, and then you had to create the fields, and it was like there were so many. Like I mean, I guess for the people that have so much complex, but LegalShield isn't too complex to really kind of, you know, need to get into the woods with it. But it totally lost me. I couldn't download the leads that I was trying to download. The company that I was asking for support to They were like, oh, just use HubSpot and follow the instructions. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna, you're gonna do what you need to do. And I was like, so they don't know who I am, right? And I'm like, okay, so that's bullshit. I was like, that's not gonna happen. I was like, explain it to me. And she goes, I can't, but I'm pretty sure if you just follow the instructions, you will figure it out. And I'm like, I know this is, I was like, I've never heard it said to my face so much BS, but I was just like, but I know this is wrong. And I was just confronting her and she was like, that's all I have for you. And I was just like, Jesus Christ. And then I tried to do it. I was like, you know what? Maybe she's right. Maybe there's a little bit of truth in what she's saying. And then I was like, there is no truth in what she's saying. Um, and I was just using the free version, but I had to download like 6,000 contacts out of one platform, which had a direct link with HubSpot. It was so cumbersome, so complicated. And I just couldn't simply just download the list and put it into the CRM. And then what I wanted to do is then export it, but it exported a bunch of like test contacts. It was the worst experience that I ever had. And so I probably won't be using much HubSpot in any way, shape, or form because of its complexity. So with that experience coming over to Fieldnotes, I was just like, oh my God, I just love
Well,
Fieldnotes.
Jeremy, I can save you the heartburn. You can just call me for what's the experience going to be like because I've done it with HubSpot, I've done it with Zoho. So, I've already figured that all out for you. So don't waste your time and energy.
No.
I'll help you understand why you don't want to do that.
Well, I always like a challenge. I always want to know other programs and other CRMs to obviously compare. And so it
Yeah, but
definitely,
Jeremy, you're missing a point. Look at what Cassie has gone through, and she still has hair. And look at the two of us. I mean, that should tell you right there, we need to listen to the lady.
no, I could definitely take some tips on hairstyles. I just will never probably use HubSpot. And if somebody says, oh, go do it in HubSpot, I'll probably be like, save your time, not even going down that. Let me just stick with my field notes. But even like when like connecting, like going to Zapier for HubSpot, and I I I I do not want to do any of that. It was just super complicated. I thought what we had was complicated, so that it put me at ease that what we have, yes, it has steps, but nothing like the other systems that have super complicated steps, and then the wording that they use is like just concepts that I was even hard to kind of grasp because I couldn't see the logic with it. Like the words weren't kind of connecting, and so I was just like, yeah, this is. And then everything since I was in the free version, I don't know if that was just their method, but it was like, oh, you need to upgrade. Oh, you need to upgrade. You need to upgrade. And it was like, well, just let me have fun with what I have, and I can't even have fun. So, yep, HubSpot is not. I can see
Yeah,
why other people have recommended Field Notes coming from other systems, and they're like, you know what? Get Field Notes. I can now see why people say that. So, if you guys had any experience, kind of like Kathy, save your time. Don't
don't go there.
yeah, don't even go down. And then in like I felt Zoho was less of what I felt with HubSpot, but still they're like neck to neck when it comes to configuring and their setups. They have so many so many options. It's like you'll just get lost trying to figure out what you're trying to do. When I think our CRM basically does all of your core things and so much more that you're probably good with this CRM. You know what I mean? For doing marketing, for prospecting. This manages so much. Just the more organization you have, the clearer it is and the easier it is. So, so yeah. Well, that's what I have for you guys. Any last questions that you might have that I could answer for you guys? If not, it was definitely a pleasure to see you guys this beautiful December. The winds are now coming to Costa Rica. They want to rip my roof off. Jesus. If it wasn't for the rain, now we got all these tornadoes. That's what I consider them because all they want to do is rip the roof off. But has Seattle got better with the weather? You guys got your
Yeah,
power back?
yeah, it settled down, but we had friends that were in a major city here, actually the city I used to be a fireman at. and they were
Still?
without power for almost 2 weeks.
Wow. Wow. That's so, I thought we had it bad over here in Costa Rica sometimes with 3 days, you know what I mean? Or just power
Well,
just leaving abruptly.
our big winds normally come in November, and typically we don't get 70+ mile-an-hour winds, and that's what came through this time. And once you start taking down trees and one thing and another, it takes a while to get all the power lines back in alignment again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. Well,
Yep.
I definitely hope everybody's good and safe and, things are coming back online. But
This is a good time to be in Arizona.
I've heard rumors about that.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah,
lot of
you
good
don't
things about
want 19 degrees?
it. Is it that cold?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was down to 9.
Ooh, that's kind of like leave your groceries outside. That's what we used to do. We used to put the milk outside.
Yeah, it
It's
doesn't work at
gorgeous
9
in
degrees.
Colorado.
Well, that's good. I do miss the cold, and it is getting super cold here in Costa Rica with the winds.
Yeah, what's super cold? Come on.
It's cold enough that I don't know why,
No,
because
come on, give us a temperature, Jeremy.
it's like I would say
61.
well 19. I don't know what the conversion is. Costa Rica weather. So it is 76.
Yeah, oh God. I can't imagine. You need to get the mucklucks out, man.
Are you for real?
Are you
So-
kidding me? We won't see 75 for 5 months.
But it feels like when the wind starts going and then the sun goes down, or it starts to get, and then it just starts. I don't know why all of a sudden I get chilly. I don't know. I think I've been here too long. I don't know. God forbid if I go back to Seattle, I'll
I
probably
think you need some
die.
blood.
I have it. It's
Mm.
it's ragu flavor. You know what I mean? But
Oh my
but yeah.
goodness,
So I
76
guess
degrees.
right. You guys would love to have that, and then it's
Yeah.
like a low 62 in the evening. So I don't. I mean, that's probably where I feel it and just kind of go just shiver me timbers. But it's
Well, Estell's in worse condition in Colorado than we are, but we're hovering right at freezing every night, 30, 31 though.
oh man,
And
yeah,
it's only going to get worse until January. And then it'll start coming back out of it again.
that's crazy. I've totally disconnected from Seattle weather. Then I don't think because I never had a rain, an umbrella in Seattle. I had like a winter coat, but that was it, right? But I never had an umbrella. Came to Costa Rica, and if you didn't have an umbrella, you would basically, if you got caught in one of those rains, it was like an outdoor shower. You know what I mean? And then you come home, your wallet is destroyed. If you
Yeah.
had like your cell phone, like I would see why people would have Ziploc bags in their purses and in their pockets because they would just put the phone in there because they know the rain's coming. It's gonna get me anyway. And so they would just put it into the little Ziploc bag and then make the prayer and hopefully that you get home and you don't get cold from it, But yep, I guess now tis the season.
Well, you be good. I gotta go. You have an awesome one, and we'll see you. I've scheduled some time with you, so see you soon.
Perfect. All righty,
All
everybody.
right. See you
Pleasure.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye now. You're welcome.